Florence, thank God your husband listens to you, because you need to sit him down and talk about this issue since it does not sit well with you. You need to let your husband know that this is a new generation and not the one he was brought up in. Let him see the importance of any child, not just a girl child, speaking up for themselves, and there should be no gender-based work in the house among the kids. The world we live in now doesn't pamper any particular gender. They are all seen as equals. And this is coming from Temitope from Magboro. I like this particular way that she phrased the message, because you can tell that it's important that Florence got this message. It was important to the sender of this message, Temitope, that Florence understood what it was that the message was carrying. So she's basically saying, don't let your husband be in the dark. Talk to him about it. Let him understand that this is not the kind of generation that he grew up in. This is the kind of generation where boys and girls are seen as equals. There should be no gender-based work in the house. And he should also see the importance of every child, including his girl child, speaking up for herself. I like what she said. The world we live in now does not pamper any particular gender. And that is so true. That is true. What are your thoughts tonight? Florence is very concerned about this new development with her husband, and she's saying that she has actually talked to him about it. But his response is that he is realizing that this is the right way. So all the times that we talked about how we're going to raise our children, when we had children, when we got married and started having children, 7 years in marriage, 2 children, and now you're just realizing that this is the right way. Hello, good evening. Good evening. Am I speaking with Young?
Yes, you're speaking with Young. Happy New Month.
Happy New Month, Young. Thank you for calling. Where are you calling from? Ikorodu?
From Ikorodu, yes.
All right. Thank you for calling. Please go ahead. What are your thoughts tonight?
I was listening to a program this afternoon that mentioned the case of a girl that was killed for trying to claim her late father's property. And I actually tried to call into that program, but I couldn't. I think we have gone beyond the generation of Nigeria in general. We have been so enlightened to know that these are no longer the days when female gender used to be a subject of domestic work and things like that. We have gone to the level where the two genders are now equal. We have gone to the level where men and women should recognize both genders as being equal. Despite that, we still have the head of a family. That you're the head doesn't make you a supernatural being. That is what we should understand. And that is what some of our men are still that we have different to understand here now. Now, someone said that her husband is kind of, I think the word you use is progressive or progressing.
Yes, progressive.
Progressive. I beg to differ on that word. If he is, you would have known by now that things are changing. And he would have known that as a progressive person, he would have known that both children have equal rights in their father's house. Okay. You know, when I started the case of the story that I listened to, he is the kind of man that when he dies, her female children, only female children, they stand to lose whatever he has.
I understand what you're saying. I understand you.
Because of his belief, because of his traditional belief, his children stand the chance of losing whatever he had if he had only female children.
Okay, so what's your advice to Florence?
So my advice is, I think the first message you read says that she should sit the man down. Get him a good counselor. She will not even listen to you. Get him a good counselor. Bring in a good counselor who will educate him, who will tell that the generation we are in, even by now, he's supposed to have written his will. That's the truth. He's supposed to have written his will, specify what belongs to who in his household. counselor who will educate him, who will enlighten him, who will tell him that we have left that generation long ago.
All right.
That we're in a new generation now.
All
That's
right.
what she needs.
Thank you very much, Young. Thank you for calling. So Young is saying that irrespective of the current situation, Florence should get a counselor for her husband, somebody who will sit him down, give him professional understanding, treat him professionally rather as a client, as somebody who needs that counseling, and basically make him understand where he should be, make him understand that both boys and girls are equal and they have equal rights. He's saying he differs with the term progressive that Florence used for her husband, that he doesn't think that Young doesn't think that Florence's husband is progressive. Now, I have to say this because this was written in the story. She said, my husband, I'm going to read it as it was written. She said, my husband is traditional, but very teachable and progressive. So he's a traditional man, but he's very teachable and he's also very progressive. And I like that about him. So basically, this is what makes them work, because one person understands how things should be, the other person also understands how things should be and is willing to learn. So that is the case right now. Young is saying, get him a counselor, get him somebody who would explain things properly to him, who he potentially would be able to listen to, and things will be okay. And hopefully things will be okay going forward. What are your thoughts tonight? What should Florence do to salvage this situation? What is responsible for the recent change in her husband? 07,000 917 917 is the number to call. This is still Adult Conversations on Women Radio 91.7. We play Nigerian songs every time, all the time. WFX 91.7. They keep wondering, say I'm unstoppable, how I'm unstoppable. Some try to slow me down, but I'm undraggable, Every expectation, that's the heat. My success in between. I'm on the way for my next round. Get my no, I find it wrong. What's real limited dosing? This one in my dose. For the phone that I plan, we are the network. We are
and stay connected to the Wi-Fi network for unlimited internet experience that keeps you one step ahead in all your browsing needs. Spectranet, the Wi-Fi network.
My better people better don't land. Life Medicare HMO now one of that Ogbonge health maintenance organization where our government stamp gidigba for health insurance matter by country people. Why you go sick before you cover yourself? What if money no dey when you fall sick? Life Medicare HMO get better health plan and benefit for organized private sector, schools, communities, and even private individuals and families. Life's premium for all their plans dey pocket friendly. Na shilling money. Life's hospital network na all over Naija. They fit help you arrange treatment for Obodo Oyibo. Their head office na number 2 Osho Street, Okpebi Link Bridge, off Okpebi Road, Ikeja, Lagos. For more information, call 08093555863 or 08032639058. I say health protection in your colors. It's a brand new day, I'm feeling strong. Happy to do anything, happy to do my work now. Yesterday was rough, but I don't regret, I don't recover. See me as a fresh, now that I see me so fresh. Let me say I still in the day. You don't have so long for the people,
Repair and recover with Astimine, a blend of amino acids and multivitamins.
I don't recover,
Statistics show that women and girls are most vulnerable to the endless insecurity in Nigeria. The shrinking civic space is a gendered approach to securing Nigeria. Shrinking Civic Space will discuss the impact of insecurity on women and girls and the need to end insecurity in Nigeria. Tune in to Shrinking Civic Space, a gendered approach to securing Nigeria. Thursdays, 2 p.m. on Women Radio 91.7. Shrinking Civic Space, Safeguarding Women and Girls for a Secured Nigeria, is an initiative of Vision Springs Initiatives. Lunch 5. Every music note counts, aligning with lyrics and rhythm. Words soothing to the ears, voices and melodies with the best vibes ever. That is Lunch 5 for Women Radio WFM 91.7. You know I'm just that type. No, I'm not big kill my vibe. 23 minutes past 6 on Women Radio 91.7. This is still Adult Conversations, where we share real-life issues and we discuss matters relating to the heart. If you want your story to be profiled on this program, send in your story along with your name and contact number. Your story along with your name and contact telephone number to 0703 175 6537. 0703 175 6537. Tonight we're profiling Florence's story. Florence is saying, I've been married for 7 years. We have 2 children. My husband is very traditional, but he's very teachable and progressive, and I like that about him. I believe in equal rights, that's Florence, and yes, equal rights for both genders. However, recently I noticed that my husband has been acting up. He has been insisting on traditional roles and how my daughter should only be with me in the kitchen, and she should talk to her brother very well, cautiously, because he's a boy, and she should speak only when spoken to, and things along those lines. She said she has talked to her husband. Florence says, I've asked him, and he said that he's just realizing that this is the right way it should be. She's saying, I don't want to raise my children this way. I want to raise them in a way that they know they can be anything, and they always speak up. So what are your thoughts about this story tonight? She's saying, how should I address this? How should I address this? Now, they've been parenting in the same way for the past 7 years. Everything has been relatively fine. There's no marriage without hiccups here and there, and everything has been fine. So now, 7 years into the marriage, 2 children down, you wake up one morning and say that, oh, you're not realizing that traditional ways are the ways that, traditional roles is the way to go. How am I supposed to digest that? Hello, good evening. Hello? All right, go ahead and call me back if you can. Go ahead and call me back if you can. What do you think about this story tonight? What do you think is going through the mind of Florence right now? I'm thinking she's conflicted, she's probably undecided, and she's unsure of what brought about this new development. I mean, her husband used to insist that her daughter wear dresses. He didn't used to insist that only she goes to the kitchen with her mother. He didn't used to insist on all of this. And now somewhere out of the blue, it's really looking like now he's all about that. He's all about don't wear dresses. You're a girl, so only speak when you're spoken to. Don't talk to your younger brother anyhow because he's a boy. Give him respect because he's a boy. And she's looking at things and she's wondering, I don't want to raise my children this way. I don't want to break them in a way that they now have to be built back up. I don't want to teach them that, oh, because you're talking to a boy or because you're in the presence of any male figure, you should cower, you should, put your head down and not look them in the eye. You should only speak when they speak to you. And she's saying, I don't want to raise my children this way. So how does she balance this out with her husband? How does she balance this out with her husband? And what exactly is responsible for this? What exactly is responsible for this? So she's probably thinking a lot of things at this point, but her husband needs to really open up about what's been bothering him and when he's saying this. Gender roles are just what they are, gender roles. But why put roles in genders? Why say, oh, only women can be nurses or only women make good nurses? You know, all these other different things. Oh, as a man, you should know how to cook because a woman will always be there to cook for you. In this reality that we live in today, the world is different now. The world is so different now. Nobody's fixated on all of that. Nobody's fixated on all of that. Everybody just wants to get their money and move on. And I don't say that lightly. Get their money and move on. So unnecessary conversation is not really interested. It's not really interesting to hear. But I will say this. The subject about gender roles is one thing. But if he now forcefully or if he puts his foot down and says, okay, this is what I want. Now imagine if he holds his own views and then his wife says, oh, I don't think we can do that. I don't think we can do that. Isn't it going to make the whole situation worse? I mean, look at it from her perspective. Look at it from Florence's perspective. She's basically in she's caught unawares. This was definitely nice, and she doesn't know how to act. But she says something very clearly. I don't want to raise my children this way. I don't want to raise my children this way. I want them to be able to speak up. I want them to be able to question gender roles. I want them to know that they can be anything that they desire to be. And that's the message she wants to push to her children. So why is her husband now bringing traditional roles all of a sudden? As a man, you must do this. As a woman, you must do this. Where is all that coming from? What are your thoughts tonight? What do you think is responsible for this? What do you think is responsible for this? I don't even know how this happened, but it did happen. It did happen, and it's very important that this is being spoken about. It's very important that we talk about this. This is a marriage that has lasted 7 years. Some people look at that and be like, oh, just 7 years. Well, it might be just 7 years for some people, and it might not even take that long. The whole thing just depends on a lot of things. So, what are your thoughts tonight? What do you think concerning what happened? What do you think concerning that? What do you think tonight? What do you think? What do you think? What do you think? How do you think is the best way to approach this situation? I want to hear from you. The number is 07000 917 917. 07000 917 917. You can also send in your text or WhatsApp messages to 0703 175 6537.
It's game night at the Bensons and everyone's having fun. Then, this.
Hey, son, what's the matter? You too? No way.
Don't let coughs and the common cold ruin your fun time. Tuxedo range of reformulated day and night syrups provides effective relief from cough and cold. Product may cause drowsiness. Tuxedo, the job gets done when the cough is gone. If symptoms persist after 3 days, consult your doctor.
Have you been a victim of corruption? Do you want to report how corruption affects you and your community? Send an SMS or WhatsApp message to 0703 175 6537.
It's game night at the Bensons and having fun.
What's the matter? You too? No way.
Don't let coughs and the common cold ruin your fun time. Tuxedo range of reformulated day and night syrups provides effective relief from cough and cold. Product may cause drowsiness. Tuxedo, the job gets done when the cough is gone. If symptoms persist after 3 days, consult your doctor. Now your mama should be. She fit be your sister. She be wife and the daughter. As she dey match her for life, she dey endure every wahala and she no dey slack at all. Now how we fit reward her? Na to come and greet am, allow am bad people come rape or sell am, be wetin good for am. You think say e good to force am to marry or to leave am to come get belle when time never reach? You say our culture no dey allow her go school or get better training make she ma help her family and the community make dem dey treat am bad. She be widow. That girl, that woman, na love we suppose show am support and protect am. The International Federation of Women Lawyers, FIDA, talk say make we join hands to stop wicked and the bad treatment for all women and girls. Make we report any case of maltreatment to FIDA for 0803 666 2696 or 0803 306-5042. I love my mama, my sister, and my daughter. I go protect her. The people where they bring this message, now FIDA Nigeria, with support from Ford Foundation.
Radio Doctor on WFM 91.7 every Tuesday from 10 to 11 a.m. brings you medical experts specialized in women's health.
If you're a 28-day cycle person, just come forward on your day 14. You want to ovulate.
Call in to get free consultation on Women 7. You can send in questions, cases, and related contributions on social media, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at WFM917. Text and WhatsApp to 070-317-56537. You can listen live online on www.wfm917.com. Radio Doctor, Nigeria's first free consultation radio health program on WFM 91.7.
I feel this of lack of professionalism in this because we're talking about 100 lives. Government has also put in place a structure to make it look like what they have in mind. How do we stop crime in the society? Because at the end of the day, if a man cannot provide for his wife anymore, he looks for other means. Because we should address Nigeria from. This is Panorama.
Mondays through Fridays from 9 to 5 a.m.
The WFM 91.7 will bring you ladies from across Nigeria's political zones, dissecting, discussing, and disagreeing on topical issues of the day. You too can join the conversation by tweeting us at WFM 917 with the hashtag Panorama. WFM 91.7, the voice of women. The big question.
What I see, in fact, is increasing more. We never had a snake and whether Saturn and swallow money.
Why?
Everything has increased.
Conversational, controversial, and borderline disruptive. The big question.
Mondays to Fridays, 12:05 p.m. on your women radio WFM 91.7.
Twenty-four minutes to 7 on Women Radio 91.7, Nigeria's only radio station for women and their families. My name is Somto Titilayo Ajama. And if you're just tuning in, you're welcome. Thank you very much for joining us today on Adult Conversations. Today we're profiling the story of Florence. Florence is telling us that she's been married to her husband for 7 years and they have 2 children. Recently, she noticed that her husband has been insisting on traditional roles in the family, particularly between the children. he's talking about how their only daughter should be in the kitchen, only her should be in the kitchen with her mother, how she should only speak when spoken to, and she should not speak anyhow to her brother, who is younger than her, by the way. So Florence said, I've asked him the thing that is responsible for this kind of change. I've asked him, and he says he's realizing that now that this is the right way, that this is actually how to go, the traditional way and all of that. Now, Florence says, I don't want to raise my children this way. So they know that they can be anything and always speak up. So why is this? I don't really know. I don't really know what that means. To a large extent, it's most important that Florence is saying she doesn't want to raise her children that way, in the way that puts the girl child at a little disadvantage, in a way that preempts what she's going to do even before she does it, before she develops all these misjudgments, all these things. And he is saying that he's realizing that this is the right way. That's what her husband is saying, that he's realizing that this is actually the right way to do things. But Florence is saying, I believe in equal rights. So how does she address this? 7 years and counting. Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
My name is John from Ikorodu.
Yes, and it's good evening, by the way. Pardon me. Good evening. Thank you, John. Where are you calling from?
Ikorodu.
Okay. All right. So you want to contribute on the story tonight?
Yes. I think the man is getting it all wrong.
Okay.
Let the woman take it from this angle. She's a lady, right? And the man is a guy.
Mm-hmm.
They are together. She does keep quiet until the man asks her to speak, before she now responds to anything the man wants her to respond to. Let her start from there. Then the man will see that it's not appropriate. If he continues to see it's still wrong with the woman, then he will come back to his senses that it's not appropriate for him to train the children traditionally. He should allow the woman to train them. Most times he's not always at home. Is it when he's at work, busy looking for what to give family to eat, that will be training children traditionally? He should allow the woman do her job. Although the job is for both of them, but bulk of it is for the woman. So the woman should start by keeping quiet until the man asks her to speak, then before you know what he's doing. So that will be my take.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, John. Thank you so much. Thank you for calling. I believe John is trying to say, give him a taste of his own medicine. You've been together for 7 years. You have 2 children. He married you because he wanted to spend the rest of his life with you. So he will most likely be your partner, your best friend, or at least somebody, or you have a really good relationship where you talk a lot. So John is saying, in those times where you get plenty talk, where, say you get some nuggets where you won't drop, or you get some very important things where you guys say, just no talk. No talk. John did not say, no even talk anything, except if your husband follow you talk. If you don't say, Florence, how far now? Then may not talk anything. Because now waiting they teach your Peking, now be that. Then you make him understand that you can't, you make him understand that this is not the right way to do things. And where is he getting that realization from, that this is the right way? I mean, in words, it says he's just realizing that this is the right way. How? How is this the right way? This is something that is so hard to understand. How is it the right way? Anyway, call me up on 07000 117 917. Share your thoughts tonight on the story that we're profiling. How is this supposed to function? How is this relationship supposed to function? How is their married life supposed to how is their married life supposed to play out right now? It's very tricky because now there's all this attention on it, and then she has complained, so things are just looking a certain way. They're probably just looking and just saying, oh, let's see how it goes. But in this case, let's see how it goes cannot solve it. Let's see how it goes. It's not the basic solution here. It really is not. I believe in equal rights. That's what Florence says. Equal rights of both genders. And her husband says, I don't. I don't. Where do those two ideas marry? Where do they marry, and how do things evolve between them? It's really not easy to put together and say these things, but I want to hear from you. What are your thoughts tonight? What are your thoughts tonight about the story I just profiled? What are your thoughts? What should you do to get his attention enough for him to hear her out? Is there anything like that enough for him to hear her out while she talks about her case, while she explains to him as her husband with respect of why this is really not the best way to raise your scope of parenting? That's not the best way to do it. I mean, once upon a time you were team, this is probably the way to do things, but I mean, I'm in such a phase of my life, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. So why be saying that now? Florence husband, they realize saying that this way, this traditional gender way may be the best way. Why be saying that now ain't just they realize that kind of thing. So it's actually hard. It's actually really hard to cope because you want the best for the other person, you want the best for your children, and you don't want any issues within your marriage. Because small time now, if small thing happens, they say, oh, it's the wife that did this, it's the wife that did that, forgetting that it's not just the wife. The responsibility of parenting does not fall on just the wife. I don't want to talk too much. I want to hear your comments. What do you think about the story tonight? What do you think? How do you think it's playing out? What exactly do you look out for that could make the entire experience a really good one? And I'm talking about this with regards to raising the children. What are the things to look forward to make the entire experience with raising your children worth looking forward to? Yes, I literally asked this that way because when you look at it, 7 years. They don't already agree on how they will take raise their children. They don't already decide. In fact, they don't already raise the children safe. Because 7 years, no be small thing. They get 2 children. Anyhow you look at the children go reach like 5, or maybe 2, or 5 and 3, or if you be 1 year apart or something. But however, you don't already raise them in the way that, okay, speak with respect, do this, do that. You can't reach school now, reach a certain point in middle of the 7 years after, could the time you say that's how you realize it is. What are your thoughts tonight? I just want to poke the bear and play devil's advocate a little bit. What are your thoughts for tonight? What is that thing that's in your mind when you hear this story? What is it that's in your mind when you hear that story? What do you think concerning this? Is this something that Florence can understand? Is this something she can understand? Is this something she can walk around with? It's actually important to consider that. Now, I'm supposing the children are young. And if the children are young, why are you doing, don't wear skirts, don't talk to your brother anyhow because he's a boy? How, why? No, we know better, so we should do better. Should do better. It's still Women Region at 1.7. This is still Adult Conversations, where we share real life issues and discuss matters relating to the heart. The story of profiling tonight is that of Florence, and Florence needs the advice. What do you think she should do? How do you think she should act? In what way do you think this turnaround will affect the children? And I'm asking all these questions because parenting is not easy. So how are you going to make this work in the face of all of this that's going on? It is actually very tricky. It is very tricky. But what are your thoughts, and how have you been unsettling? What are your thoughts tonight? Have you been unsettling this the mental image of this picture, the mental image of this story in your head. And I'm saying this because I've been unpacking it too. I'm thinking, okay, how did the entire conversation go and what happened at the end of the day? So honestly speaking, it's actually not as easy as it sounds. But if there's any reason for it, well, I'd like to hear it. I would really like to hear what that reason is. Traditional gender roles, and you think women or men want to stay in that one space forever. They want to do other things. They want to explore. They want to do other things. So this shouldn't be a case of teaching the children or teaching the girl to not speak up when she's spoken to. She should not do this. She should not do that. So it's not being very easy in this space. It's really not, because I can only imagine what's going on through her mind right now. It is 07,000 917 917. 07,000 917 917. You can also send a text or a WhatsApp message to 0703 175 6537. 07,000 917 917. What are your thoughts tonight? What are your thoughts? I'm interested in hearing them. Now, when you analyze the story, you realize that there was a part in the story where she said, he's very teachable and progressive, and I like that about him. She was referencing her husband now. I like that about him. But she also said, recently, I've noticed he's been intense on traditional roles, and this is something that does not sit well, doesn't really sit well with her. It doesn't really sit well with her. So she needs to get this out of her chest. She needs to talk about it. We need to know if there's a solution, what to do, how to do it. So there's really no basis for anything that you think can handle. There's really no basis for that, because technically you can handle these things, because everyone is different, and it's not as easy to cope with one situation as it is to cope with another one. She's probably thinking, this is just a bad idea. This is just a bad idea. But then when you look closely at the story, you realize that, oh, okay, this is what this person's trying to say. This is what this person's trying to say. So there's just this frame of mind that the husband wants the children to have. Florence's husband wants the children to have. But Florence is trying to say, no, this framework, no. So, will it be a yes or will it be a no? What is the way to proceed? What is the way to proceed? 07,000 917 917. 07,000 917 917. Also send in your text and WhatsApp messages to 0703 175 6537. Hello, good evening. Please call back. What are your thoughts tonight on this story? What are your thoughts tonight? Do you think that Florence should even be worried in the first place? Do you think she should be worried about their new status? What's going on with them? Do you think she should be worried? Well, you're the only one who can answer that. If we're being honest, you're the only one who can answer that. But this person is basically saying that men and women cannot do the exact same things, or sometimes the context of gender roles can be confusing, to say the least. So this is where the truth is important, and I want to say this because it's been a while that I've done different situations across different programs that are similar to this, but this still stands out. Definitely still stands out. So, what is the solution at this point? Is there any solution? Hello, good evening.
Hello?
Good evening. Please turn down the volume of your radio.
Yeah, very good. Yeah. Please, I'm thinking what the woman should do is that she should try to sit the husband down and they should talk out things together.
I think the woman should sit her husband down.
Ma'am?
You're saying the woman should sit her husband down. That's Florence.
Yeah, they should talk out things together.
But what if he's insisting that, oh, I'm actually just realizing that this is how it should be, so even yourself, you should change? What if, how would that go?
Yeah, there's the other person that she can talk to. Maybe they should talk to the husband and she should talk to the husband respectively.
Okay.
Yeah, so because for the life of the children and the way they bring them up, that children affect them with each other.
Interesting. Well, I understand absolutely what you're saying. I do.
Yeah.
I do. I'm hoping that Florence's husband understands as well when she talks to him. Please, what's your name and where are you calling from?
Yeah, I'm Kingsley from Mowi.
Okay, Kingsley, thank you very much for calling today.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah.
Again, that's another talk to your husband. This husband matter is very important because you cannot do something, particularly for a newborn, without going through due process, without making sure that everything is fine. So the fact that the children are young, of course, I don't think that Florence has any newborn, but I'm just saying that to encapsulate the innocence and the just wide-eyed innocence that children have. Imagine you now teaching them to be a certain way, to grow up to be a certain way, to fit into a certain box, to fit into a certain stereotype. It just feels like there's so much more we're not getting. There's just so much more we're not getting. And I want to hear from you. Because Florence is saying, I don't know how to address this here. I don't know what to do. I don't even know how to address this situation. And the question is, how should I address this? That's the question. How should I address this? So, what's the decision to be made? What's the decision to be made? What is your advice? What is your advice tonight? Come on, 07000 917 917. That is the number to call. 07000 917 917. Remember, you can also send in a text or WhatsApp message to 0703 175 6537. 0703 175 6537. So it's become a whole thing. It's become this new way of doing things. But this new way of doing things, I'm trying to say, I don't like this way. I don't like this way of doing things. I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't like it. So it's like you keep repeating, I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't like it. And then it looks like that is the only thing that you see around you. How is anything supposed to change when these things keep happening? So what can Florence do in her marriage to make her husband know that, oh, this thing is wrong, female genital mutilation is wrong, everything, gender-based violence is wrong, everything that basically puts the man in a superior position over the wife is basically wrong. Is basically wrong. So in the course of finding this out or of getting to know of this information and all of that, has there been any situation where maybe your husband called and he just to take things very slowly? Has he called to take things slowly to hear your side? Hello, good evening.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening. Thank you very much for calling.
Yeah. This lady Lincoln.
Yes, thank you.
I want to know if the lady has actually called the husband to sit him down and tell him what he's to do with his own children. If that's how he was being brought up, then he wants to bring up these children in a way that will destroy their adulthood and how they're supposed to bond as siblings and all that, because he's trying to take something very big from them without knowing. So there is it's not a big issue, but it's, at the same time, it's a very serious issue. You woman need to call the man down and ask the man some questions. This is what you want for your children. If this is how you were brought up, do you think I will be your wife today?
Very good question.
And then, yes, will I be your wife today? To even stay with you up to now? I wouldn't have stayed up with you till this year, the 7 years, and we are still counting. The same way you want to take such things from your kids. But there is a whole lot. He is trying to take away bond to a siblings bond from them, trying to take their adulthood. That girl will grow up, and then there's this fear of how to relate with his spouse, and then the spouse will start taking advantage of her. She can't be able to talk to the man, and all her life she'll think kitchen is meant for her. And then the boy also will think a woman can't talk to me anyhow, and kitchen is not meant for me, and that one won't be able to even do anything for himself. He can't live to himself to do things like cooking for himself. If nobody can do it for him, he won't be able to do it for himself. There's a whole lot there that the woman can point out to use it to talk to the man, so that the man will come back to his senses. Some of these men, when they go out and they meet some friends and they start talking, they won't even wait for their friends to explain and talk more. They'll just carry it and want to practice it at home. So if you, the woman, you are not you don't have much in you to defend such things. When they bring it up, at the end of the day, become normal thing at your home. That you can't change it, you can't do anything with. So a woman should be able to stand to defend their children now that they can't talk for themselves, for their future. If not, they will grow up and both of them will not like what they see. That boy now will grow up and believe that a woman can't talk to him anyhow. A woman has to be this certain way to talk to him and all that. It's a very serious issue. So the woman should be able to call the husband down and talk to the husband and iron things up and make him know why. You can't talk without evidence. If not, you just be beating around the bush. You need to prove your reasons why such things are not acceptable. Even if you want the children to, have some cultural, this thing, it's not like the way he's coming with it. If you want the child to respect each other, there is a way you do it. So they should sit down and talk, and then bring a lot of things into, in a way that they will be able to reason it together for the benefit of the children. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Lady B. You've spoken well. Thank you so much. See, the context of conversation here, again, according to Lady B, is because it's important that raising your child the same way matters. Raising your child in that way, that your child will realize that, yes, I'm a girl, but it doesn't make any difference because I can do just as well as my brother who's a boy can do. So she basically highlighted a lot of, should I say, downsides now to not being on the same page when it comes to this particular subject. And that's because it will flow out into every area of your life. Every area of your life, it will play out somehow. It will play out somehow. And it won't be easy. It will not be easy given it. It will not be easy just going through that phase, just going through that, all of that. So I enjoy you to call. Yes. It's this very interesting conversation or this very interesting story that we're profiling tonight. When I actually saw this stuff the first time, I figured, okay, this is actually really nice. The story goes thus, just in case you're tuning in newly. My name is Florence, and I've been married for 7 years, and we have 2 children. I believe in equal rights for both genders, but my husband is traditional, but very teachable and romantic and progressive, but very teachable and progressive, and I like that about him. Recently, I noticed he's been intense on traditional roles and how my only daughter should be in the kitchen with me. How she should only wear dresses, she should only speak and be spoken to. She should speak only when spoken to, rather, and not speak anyhow to a younger brother because he's a boy. I mean, there's some things you hear and you wonder, where is this coming from? Where is it coming from? How did this even happen? What's the real issue here? I mean, the issue is glaring. And she's asking, how do I address this? How do I address this? It's 3 minutes past 7 on Winry 91.7, and we're still profiling Florence's story. You just tune in, you're welcome, and I want us to stand the true perspective of things, particularly because of how it stands with the 2 parents now. That's Florence and her husband. You don't want it to be in a way that you raise your children this way, your wife will come and do another thing this way. Sometimes it doesn't help with the situation. Sometimes it does, believe me. Sometimes it does. But sometimes it doesn't really help. Sometimes it just feels like, okay, I don't really know what's happening, but I'm just going to go with the flow and then see what's happening. In this case, that's very, very dangerous. That's very, very dangerous because you don't know the next thing that is going to pop up. You don't know the next thing that's going to pop up and how and whether it will favor you or not. So if as a lady, whatever it is that's coming up doesn't favor you, then you know there's work to be done. So anyhow you look at this back and forth, it's still very clear. That there are a number of schools of thought on this. Some people say, oh, I like things to be this way. Head of the house, man of the house, second God in the house. Your wife and children have to look up to you. They have to respect you so much just to show you that you're appreciated, that you've gone out of your way to be a good dad or be a good mom. Now, whatever that is, whatever that out of your way is, for some reason, it doesn't look like it's out of the way anymore. And that's because now, Florence's husband is doing things the traditional way, telling her that he's just realizing that this is the right way. He's just realizing that this is the right way. That is actually something that is very concerning. Very concerning. So what do you think about that? What do you think about it? What do you think would become of the entire process? What do you think will become? And I'm saying entire process because sometimes you think, oh, okay, once I talk to this person, the person understands. But sometimes the process is different because when you talk to them, they either don't understand it or they're too tired or it's just a bunch of different things at the same time. So if Florence wants to see a change, then to a lot of extent, there are a lot of things that she would have to teach her husband. But what could be the real reason? Because we still have not established what that is. We've not established what the reason is. We've not established why Florence's husband is acting this way. We don't know. and we need to know. So, what's your best guess? What's your best guess? What do you think is responsible for anything? What do you think is responsible for that? Now, the reason I use the word responsible is because Florence has said, I am convinced of gender rights. I believe in this. I believe in this. This is how I see things. And now the husband who used to be on the same page with her is now saying that, oh, I've realized that this is actually how it is done, not that other one I said. Is what, and then you're asking yourself, what is new? What is going on? And why do things happening this way? So it's not very easy to just shake it off and just move on. It's really not that easy. It's really not. But there's always something to do. There's always a solution. There is always a solution. There's always a solution. So one day you could be walking on the streets just thinking about simple things, and somebody shouts at your daughter or cat calls her or calls her, fine girl, you bad, or you be this, you're too hot, you're too this. And then because you've taught your daughter that she can only speak when spoken to, and this one is not directly talking to her, and now that you've trained your daughter to only speak when spoken to, and then this person kept calling her and making her feel objectified, now that she's starting to speak for herself, how? I'm not sure how this would work out at the end of the day, but I'm interested in finding out what you think concerning this. What do you think concerning the story? Do you think that Florence should just calm down? Do you think she's just calm down and maybe just see how things go? She's just calm down. There's so much out there, and there's so much in the story that is not written in the story. There are lots of things that different people have gone through at different points in time. But it's always very important to understand that these things are for a moment. They're for a moment. One other thing is, in that moment, good decisions have to be made. In that moment, a good decision has to be made. In these moments, good decisions have to be made. So whatever the case may be, there's that time where you know that, okay, I may not be getting everything correctly, but I'm getting this correctly. And that's when you finally see your children blossom. That's when you know that, oh, you can tell yourself, give yourself a pat on the back and say, I didn't have all the working tools. I didn't know how to do this. I didn't know how to do that. But I learned that because I wanted to teach my children. I learned that because I wanted to do this, because I wanted to do that. So there are a bunch of different reasons. I want to hear from you, yes, you. 07000 917 917. 07000 917 917. That's the number to call. Pick up the phone, call me up, talk to me about the entire situation. Talk to me about the entire situation. Is this a case of my husband wanted this way, I wanted this way, and then we don't know what to do? Because now it doesn't look like he doesn't know what to do. This is basically sounding like he has already infected those changes in his mind, and so he now wants them to be passed on to his children. So I can only imagine somebody who used to be all over the place, talk a lot, is just doing something else, basically doing something else. And it makes you wonder, is this really the best way to pass this message? If there's any message, is this really the best way? What are your thoughts tonight? Florence is saying she doesn't want to raise her children in a home that is limited with gender expectations. She doesn't want to do that. She wants to live in a situation where things are much better, where she can look at her daughter and be like, you're a queen, and her daughter will agree with her. And she can have that opportunity to speak up, even when nobody's speaking to her. That's what Florence wants. But her husband thinks differently now. And he's saying he's just realizing that this is the way. What should she do? Hello, good evening.
Hello.
Good evening. Please turn down the volume of your radio.
Hello.
Hello, I can hear you. Good evening.
I'm calling from Abode.
You're calling from where?
From Otta.
Okay, what's your name, please?
I am
Okay, Priscilla from Otta. Thank you very much. Please go ahead.
So what you are discussing is very, very interesting. I've already taken his stand. But I want to give the woman an advice. She should, when the dad is out, teach the children that there should be oneness. Because I feel that this thing will create enmity between the two. This shouldn't be. So because they are siblings, they are supposed to have oneness, do things in common. So this intention of their dad will bring enmity. So it is the place of the woman to create love between them by probably not doing it, not saying things or teaching them to love themselves when the dad is there. But she should take it as a responsibility to make them understand that this is not the right way to live. I hope you understand what I mean.
Okay.
Okay. So that's my own opinion.
Interesting. So let me get this correctly. You're saying that she should try to accommodate what he's saying.
Because the man is the head and
Yes.
taking his stand on this.
So that they don't start fighting unnecessarily.
Yes. So and some of these men, they may even come up. They may be very angry if you try to intervene or come in between what he has already set as a standard. So the best thing is,
Are you there?
she should use her wisdom, make her children understand that since they are siblings, such things shouldn't be. There's no way a senior sister will bow down to the junior brother because simply he's a boy. So it's never done. And I believe that if the boy goes out to meet other of his friends, he will surely understand that this is not the right way to deal with his senior sister.
Okay.
I hope you understand.
Absolutely. I do.
Okay.
All right.
That's what
Thank
I
you.
feel.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Priscilla. Thank you for calling.
Thank you.
All right. So Priscilla is talking about the fact that so that Yawa no go gas for house, everybody will be on the same page and there will be peace. That she should not confront her husband on this. She's talked to him, she's asked him, he said, oh, he's just realizing that this is the way that things should be. But rather than go back over it and make a big deal out of it, she should still be teaching her children what she's teaching them. She should still be teaching them what she's teaching them. She should find that way to balance what they both want so that things can work out at the end of the day. Thank you very much for that, Priscilla. Okay, please call back if you can. Call back if you can. 07000 917 917 is the number to call. Hello, good evening.
Hello.
Good evening. Thank you for calling.
Matthew with Tom, please.
You listen to Adult Conversations. I'm Somto Titilayo Ajama. So I'm the one hosting the program.
Okay, thank you.
All right. So what are your thoughts tonight? Is this a conversation of like Priscilla said, try to so that you don't cause conflict in your marriage and you don't make it look like your husband doesn't know what he's doing. Is this a case of let's balance things out on one end, or spell it out to him and let him know that I don't appreciate this. This is not what we agreed on. So why are you going back on our agreement? How do you think this is best approached, given the fact that they've been 7 years in marriage, they have 2 children, and yes, on some level, there's a lot of difference between both of them. She believes in equal gender rights. He's a traditional man. And as a traditional man, there's so many other things that come with that. There's so many other things that come with that. Some of them are positive, some of them are not quite positive. Some of them are negative. There's always advantages and disadvantages. But in this case, it's always an advantage for your children to know that they can be anything that they want. It's an advantage for your girl child to be able to speak up, to be able to assert herself in any room that she's in, to be able to know the value that she carries as a girl, as she grows into a woman. Nobody wants to be in a situation where you're trying to communicate with your daughter and she's acting a certain way because it's a man that's talking to her. She's trying to be all quiet, all shy, and all of that. No, there's no need for all that. There's really no need for all that. And this is what Florence is trying to inculcate into her children. But now that she's faced with her husband as the obstacle, for lack of a better word, she's finding it hard to marry what her husband is saying now with what she has always known. So how should she address this? Hello, good evening.
Hello, thank you.
Good evening. Thank you for calling. Am I speaking with?
This young again. I'm sorry
Yes.
for taking this. You know what Priscilla said is a very good idea, but it doesn't always go well because you don't know what the father will be telling the male child at the back doors. Do you understand?
Okay.
We male children, because I grew up as a boy too.
Of course.
We have the way of raising, we have this sense of pride in us when our parents, especially the dad, gives you a little authority over your senior sister. Do you understand?
Of course, I do.
Yes, it happens. And so, to avoid a rancor between the wife and the husband now, everything lies on the man and the woman to take it up with the husband in private between her and the wife and the husband.
The husband, okay.
See, I have a little child here. The first day I would have, thank God I did not, I would have raised my hand on my wife was the day I was trying to correct my child and she started crying, a child of 3 years, and she started crying. My wife, trying to say that, don't mind your daddy. I want that, don't ever say that word again. Don't ever say that word, don't mind your daddy again. So, and that's the worst thing every parent can do when your wife or when your spouse is correcting a child and you tell it, don't mind your mommy or don't mind your daddy. You understand me?
Yes, I do.
When even my wife is, even when she was wrong, even when my wife is wrong, I would treat my baby in support of the mother. Then later I will call the woman, look at the way to go. You understand? But let the child know that what the mother is giving her is correction. Even if the mother was wrong, I will correct her later, not in the presence of my child.
Okay.
So, telling the children now in the absence of their father, do this is what you are supposed to do. This your father was this. No. To me, it's a no. Because the little children may still go back to the father and say, "Mommy said this, mommy said that." And the division in the house.
Exactly. So that same conflict we're trying to prevent.
Let us take the responsibility of talking to the husband by herself, and then, like I said before, getting a counselor who can also, help her out from where she thought the counselor will take it up.
All
so
right.
that the husband will understand. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Young. Thank you for calling. Interesting approach from Young, because he's saying now that Priscilla's point is actually a really good one. Irrespective of the fact that her husband will be saying A, she can still say B, but in a way that balances out the A that her husband is saying. Now, Young is saying that, well, that may work, but what about the things that he's telling them behind her back? What about things that he's telling his son when she's not there, about how to talk to women, how to behave with a woman, how to act? How about that? And what if some of these things are not right? How will she approach that? So he's saying, still seek the knowledge of a counselor to augment what you are telling your husband, but still talk to him in private. Try to talk to him in private. Try to make him understand with the counselor, and hopefully there'll be a difference. Hello, good evening.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening. Thank you for calling. Can I get some volume from you, please?
Good evening. Can you hear me?
Well, yes, a little bit better. Thank you. What's your name, please? Where are you calling from?
You have Sociable on the line. I'm calling you from Okota.
Hello, Sociable. Thank you for calling. How are you doing today?
Thank you very much. I'm fine.
All right.
I've been listening. I've been trying to get the gist of the story. I don't really get the story.
Oh, okay. All right. Let me give you the breakdown. Florence is 7 years old in marriage. She's been married for 7 years. She has 2 children. And she's saying that she believes in equal rights of both genders. She believes that both genders have equal rights. But her husband is a more traditional guy. But irrespective of the fact that he's a traditional guy, he's also very teachable and very progressive with his thinking. So they have 2 children, and of course they have 1 boy and 1 girl. She's saying now that recently she has noticed that her husband has started acting in that very traditional way, insisting on traditional roles for their children, telling her daughter to be the only one that comes with him to the kitchen. Her son should not come. It should be only her that comes to the kitchen. She should only wear dresses. She shouldn't wear trousers. She should be quiet when men are talking. She should only speak when she's spoken to, and she should treat her younger brother with more respect, basically, because he's a boy. And she's saying that this is not the way she wants to raise her children. She wants to raise them to be able to speak out, to be able to let me read it the way it's written here, to be able to speak out and know that they can be anything that they want to be. So it's not compulsory that, oh, because he's a boy, he has to be a certain thing. Because she's a girl, she has to be a certain thing. They can be anything, and they can speak up for themselves at every point in time, regardless of whether they're male or female. So she's basically doing opposite of what her husband is saying now. She believes differently. So now she's wondering, where is all this coming from? I don't know how to approach this, particularly because it's coming from her husband. So what's the way forward? That's the story.
Wow. I think both of them need to sit down and iron things out. Because each family has what works for them. So they should sit down and iron things out and know what works best for them.
Okay.
But generally speaking,
Mm-hmm.
a lady should have area of concentration. When we come to cooking, you see, ladies need to pay more attention. These days we have married women that are only cooking noodles to their children. They don't know how to cook. But the feminist group will come on radio and keep insulting men. That the men are not well trained, they should be trained, and they should. Then we have numbers of women today. They don't know how to cook. To serve their young children healthy food is a problem.
Okay, so
and many families are suffering because of this.
I don't really think so, actually. I beg to differ. And I'm deferring because even if the woman doesn't know how to cook, there's definitely somebody that's doing the cooking. She's not going to leave her family to be starving because she can't cook. So I don't agree. I don't agree with that. That may be what is happening.
But I'm telling you reality of what is happening. I'm not telling you stories.
I don't agree with that. I don't really agree with that.
Of what is happening.
I don't really agree with that.
My own reality, what I've seen and heard or I experienced within the locality I live is false.
No, I'm saying I don't agree with that mindset. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, you don't agree.
Yes.
Now, I'm telling you, you see this ideology. We don't need to be perfect.
Okay, but here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. It's nobody's saying that the women should not know how to cook, but it's also important that the men know how to cook too. So that means the boys.
I am not disputing that. Okay. I think you are not getting me well.
No, I understand you. I'm just saying let's.
I mean, each gender should have a specific concentration.
Okay, so what's the area of concentration for men, for boys?
Yes, there's no anywhere you can send a woman to provide, to be the sole provider of the family, but the men can do it comfortably.
Actually, again, that is not true. That is not true.
Now let me tell you something. While I have females and I have males in my house, I will make sure that now let me tell you what happened just this Saturday that passed. I bought this. I bought all the ingredients. I came home. When I brought it, my wife wanted to separate the beef. I said no. Leave it. I called my boy. I put the beef inside here and told him to separate it. And he did it. I told him to wash it. He washed it. I carried him to the kitchen. I'm not telling you stories, and I'm not telling you I'm making the story up because of this topic. I'm telling you how I live. I took him to the kitchen. He was the one that lit the cooker. And he was actually the one that cooked it. He's about 7 years old. He was the one that cooked it. And it was not my wife that took him and made sure that he did it. I'm telling you me myself. Because I know it's a skill. Apart from being the one that will do it at home, it's a skill. You can make a living from that. And I will not let such a skill to pass him by. He took it and everybody enjoyed it with my guidance.
Okay.
And my wife know me.
Alright, sociable, because of time. We want to take calls from other people. Yes. What's your point?
My point is this: when you come about area of dressing, I think let me leave that. Maybe on another occasion we talk about it. You come about area of dressing. We are having women that are going naked. We don't need to see. I will not be told anything truth because I'm supporting a particular gender or not.
So you're saying
women that are going. We have women that are going naked. They have left the dignified way of dressing, and they are going half naked. If you are a lady and you are wearing a skirt that is not below your knee, is above your knee, to me you are naked. You cannot wear skirts when you sit down. You will start looking for pieces of cloth to cover your knee. That is absolute nonsense.
But sociable.
I will not allow my own daughter to wear such a thing.
And that's fine.
Anybody
that's fine.
That he wants his daughter to.
Exactly. I like what you're saying. That's fine. It's fine if you don't want to allow your child to dress that way. It's fine. It's also fine for anybody who chooses to dress that way. Everybody understands what their level of decency is. Everybody understands what decent dressing should look like. So if they choose to, let everybody live their lives. I'm not being an advocate for bad dressing or anything. But in the context of this conversation today, you talked about areas of concentration, which is very similar to what Florence is talking about. So I'm saying in this case now, you're saying a good area of concentration for a woman or for a young girl would be to know how to cook. And for a man would be to know how to what? To provide. How do you teach a boy to provide? How do you teach him that?
Yes. I can't send my little girl to go and learn how to do wedding work so that he'll be able to provide for the family. It is a man's work and I will send him. I can't send my little girl to go and learn how to build house.
What if she likes building houses? What if she likes building houses?
Well, it's up to her to do so, but me myself, I can't do that.
No, but you're not the one who's building the house now. It's your daughter. She's the one who's building it.
I can't send her to go and start building house, doing a compound work. But I can send my daughter, in fact, it will amount to wickedness on my part. I
don't think you understand. I don't really think you understand what we're talking about. We're talking about rights. We're not talking about we're talking about rights. Does she have the right to decide what she wants to do? If your answer is yes, then you're on the same page. Does she have the right to say, oh, I want to be a welder? If she has the right to say that I want to be a welder, and she expresses that right to you, and then you say, oh, you can't do this, oh, you can't do this, you can't do that. Well, that's up to you and your daughter. as long as you acknowledge that she has the right, we're talking about rights. We're not talking about what is essential to what is what. Society is what conditions us to believe that. Does she have the right to decide? Does she have the right to walk into a room and say, in this field that a lot of men are?
A minor is to be guided. Even in the law courts, a minor is to be guided.
All right, so Shebo, I'm going to have to end the call now because you've spent too much time over the phone, and you're still not understanding what it is I'm talking about. But hopefully, we're going to. All right, thank you very much. Thank you very much for calling, and I'm hoping that things get better as they go on. Equal rights is the focus of conversation here. We're not talking about areas of concentration. We're not talking about what a parent wants for their child, how they want to be guided. All of that is valid. All of that is valid. All of that is also peculiar to your family and how you want to raise your child. But it's important that they acknowledge that they can be whatever it is that they want to do. If your child is good at welding because she's a woman, what's the problem with that? Welding, I don't see what the problem is with a girl wanting to be a welder. Provided she knows all the security protocols, she knows how to do it, she knows people that make gold, are they not female and male? So what exactly is the challenge here? Equal rights is what Florence is focusing on, and she's saying that she wants her children to know that they have rights. She wants them to understand that they have equal rights and not be necessarily traditional. And it's not just in choice of dressing, what to cook, what to do for a living. It's not just focused on that. It's also focused on the fact that her husband is saying, as a girl, you can only speak when you're spoken to. You cannot just speak anyhow. You can only speak when you're spoken to. You need to treat a man differently. You need to treat a man differently because he's a man. So all of these things are valid, but they're also important in the context in which Florence is looking at it from. So there'll always be differing conversation, but let's not forget what the focus is. So she's saying, how do I approach this with my husband? What do I do? And that's the answer. That's the question I need us to answer. Hello, good evening. Hello.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening. Thank you for calling. What's your name, please? Where are you calling from?
Pastor Wilson on the line from State.
Okay, Pastor Wilson, please go on very quickly now, very quickly.
Please, concerning the matter. Hello?
I'm with you. Please go ahead.
So what is that the woman is trying to make a child, a daughter, to become a woman in future, so that by the time it gets to his own husband's house, he definitely know what to do and know what not to do. So therefore, she himself be able to learn that whatsoever her mother taught her when she was smaller, and it was about her name, she has already finally grew with it. And she'll be able to help he or her own family as well to be able to grow up. As a woman today, they cannot be able to nothing. They go and buy food from the eatery. So it doesn't matter. It doesn't help matters to the family very well. So concerning the boy himself, the boy is still a boy, but likewise him as well. He's supposed to move closer to the mother too as well, to be able to learn how to cook as well. So be able to help the both of them as well, to be able to bring them together in one unity. By the time himself is able to grow to become a man, neither if the wife is not, if the wife did not know how to prepare meal or whatever, he himself is able to enter there and prepare the meal and be able to do what, be able to eat it together. The family will be what, will be okay and fine. So that is my take. Thank you. God bless you.
Thank you very much. Pastor Wilson, you didn't really answer the question, but thank you very much for your comment. Well, basically, I don't want us to digress. I really don't want us to digress. Florence is talking about the fact that she believes in equal gender rights. And her husband of recent has started insisting on traditional roles for her daughter specifically. Not just for her daughter, actually, for both her children, her daughter and her son. So she's saying he's more insistent that it's only her daughter that goes with her to the kitchen. He's more insistent about the fact that her daughter can't wear trousers, she can only wear dresses. He's more insistent about the fact that as a girl, you cannot speak unless you're spoken to. you need to just be quiet in any room that you're in until somebody talks to you, then you respond. You can't speak unless spoken to. And when you're speaking, you need to speak just within the range of whatever it is that you're asked. She's also saying her husband is trying to say that he's cautioning her against talking to her younger brother in a certain type of way because her younger brother is a boy. So he's basically teaching her that you cannot speak to boys in a certain way because they're boys. You need to accord a certain level of respect. You need to accord them a different level of reverence, for lack of a better word. So she's worried that all these things, her daughter will now grow up thinking that she's lesser, or thinking that she is not as valued as her brother, which is not what Florence wants. She wants her child to be able to speak up for herself at all times, and she wants her children to know that they can be anything that they want to be. So what are your thoughts concerning that? How does Florence deal with the fact that this type of training now is coming from her husband? She said she's spoken to him about it, and he's saying he's just realizing that this is the way things should be. Who taught him that? Where is he getting this kind of knowledge from? I'm of the opinion that maybe he's made some friends recently that are, inculcating this mindset into him, or he's realizing certain things, but he's not sharing those things with his wife in a way that they can come to a consensus on how to raise their children. So he's deciding these things by himself, and it's affecting the way they're raising their children. So that as a family, they have a united front, it's important. But what is Florence to do? 07000 917 917 is the number to call. You can send in your text and WhatsApp messages to 0703 175 6537. This is Adult Conversations on Women Radio 91.7.
We play Nigerian songs every time,
All the time.
WFX 91.7.
Mr. Johnson, I'm here for my money.
Baba landlord, I'm very sorry. My wife is very sick and I have spent all the money I have.
I've been telling you to ensure the health of you and your family with a reliable HMO.
Reliable HMO? Which of them can I go for?
Ives Medicare HMO Limited. They are one of the accredited health maintenance organizations with thousands of quality and accredited healthcare providers nationwide on their network. They have corporate plan, retail plan, student plan, and even community-based health plan. More so, their premium is pocket friendly.
Please, where are they located?
Their office is located at number 2 Osho Street, Okpebi Link Bridge, off Okpebi Road, Ikeja, Lagos. Their phone number is 080 93 555 863 or 080 32 63 9058. Their website is www.ivesmedicare.com. Ives Medicare, health protection in your corners.
Now,
wow, you just can't stop stroking your baby's body. Oh, my dear, can't you see my baby's skin? You never had nappy and heat rashes, but ever since I discovered Baby Tributan, my skin has become as smooth as velvet. No more nappy or heat rash. Really? I remember. Tell me more about this Baby Tributan. Baby Tributan is formulated for baby's tender skin to provide effective action against nappy and heat rashes. Use Baby Tributan today and discover the secret of velvety baby skin.
Tributan, a product of Fixin Healthcare PLC, contains clotrimazole and H-Stimol. Always read product leaflet.
Are you searching for durable, guaranteed, elegant, affordable home products? At Eleganta Industrial City Limited, we put you first. From plastic chairs for adults and babies, party tables and school tables, disposable plates and cups, as well as reusable plastics, food warmers and cooling boxes, trash bins of various sizes, baby daggers, lady sanitary care products, luggage of various sizes, hair threads, and lots more. Eleganta Industrial City Limited has got you covered with our elegantly designed products in unique shapes and sizes. Visit us at Kilometer Kilometer 68, Lekki Ekpe Expressway after Eleko Junction, Ibeju Lekki, Lagos. Or you can call 081 801 99999 or 090 914 73665. Or you can send us an email at eleganzaindustrialcity@yahoo.com or info@eleganzagroups.com or sales@eleganzagroups.com. You can visit our website www.eleganzagroups.com. Eleganza Industrial City Limited. The name is our guarantee.
Oh yeah, give the left and right, son.
You think you know Nigeria's biggest tunes?
This battle is a problem.
Then get in the ring on the Big Tune Show every weekday from 4 to 5 p.m. on WFM 91.2. Be ready.
Female genital mutilation, FGM, is a harmful practice that affects women and girls. Let's talk FGM every Wednesday at 2 p.m. on Women Radio WFM 91.7. Together, we must fight against FGM and end this harmful practice in Nigeria. Let's talk FGM, Wednesdays, 2 p.m. on Women Radio WFM 91.7. Let's talk FGM is supported by Hazy Health Initiative.
Our world is threatened by terrorism, wars, killings, and various vices. Its effects are mostly felt by women and girls. Peace and security is a collective responsibility as it concerns women, girls, and boys. Join WANEP on Women's Races for Peace every Tuesday at 3 p.m. on Women Radio WFM 91.7 as we engage on issues of women, peace, and security. On Women's Races for Peace on Women Radio WFM 91.7.
Still Adult Conversations on Women Radio 91.7, where we share real life issues and we discuss matters relating to the heart. It is 16 minutes to 8, and we're still on the conversation about Florence. We're profiling her story tonight. And if you want your story to be profiled as well, all you need to do is send in your story. Send in your story to 0703 175 6537. 0703 175 6537. Send your story into that number via text or WhatsApp. And remember to send your name and WhatsApp number and contact number so we can call you if we need to ask further questions. What are your thoughts on Florence's story tonight? What do you think about her story? Florence is saying, my husband is beginning to act really traditionally. He's insisting on traditional roles, and I'm not okay with that. He's saying my daughter should only speak when spoken to. She should be the only one that comes into the kitchen with me. She should only wear dresses, not trousers. She should basically treat her brother differently because he's a boy. So she's worried about the fact that they're not going to think that they can be anything, do anything, and they're not going to speak up for themselves. So she's saying, how can I address this with my husband? Kindly call me back. Kindly call me back. The number is still 07000 917 917, and we're rounding off in a little bit. But I want to know what you thought about the story tonight. Hello, good evening.
Hello, Titi Lion.
Good evening. What's your name and where are you calling from, please?
Yeah, you have sociable back. I just want to tip in something.
Okay, really quickly, really quickly, please.
Hello?
Yes, please go on very quickly, thank you.
Okay. The angle I want to talk about, I didn't touch it. It's the area of talking to the younger brother, I think the man is absolute nonsense. It's complete nonsense. And the lady should not take that. That the elder sister should keep quiet when it's absolute nonsense. And you see, there is what we do. When people are doing wrong things, they will call culture. I don't know which culture is that. As far as I'm concerned, I don't think that is Yoruba culture. Neither am I sure that it's Igbo culture. It's not an Igbo culture. So they should stop spoiling our culture in the name of that kind of nonsense. There's no culture that has that.
Okay.
That when your elder sister is talking, when your younger brother is talking, the elder sister should keep quiet. It's not a Christian culture. It's not an Igbo culture. So if you explain to us which culture is that. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you. Yeah. So he's referring to the fact that the husband is saying that she should treat her younger brother with a little bit more respect because he's a boy. She should treat him differently. I think to a large extent, he would be trying to teach her that she should speak to men differently. It's possible that he's just using her younger brother as a point of reference that she can see. So he's probably trying to teach her that, oh, when you talk to men, address them with more respect. That is basically what he might be trying to teach her. But I don't want to speak for her husband, but I believe that that is what he's trying to pass across. I'm going to go on Facebook and read quickly some of the messages before we get more calls. Okay, Amy Best is saying, I believe you are in the best position to impact into her. Do not make it an open battle. Quietly and firmly teach her and him as well that it's a big error to think that life still runs like that. I believe Amy is in support of what Priscilla was saying earlier. Ubong Etafia is saying, please be calm and use your position as a mother to impact them the other side of life. Your husband being traditional is his own way of raising his children. But it's your place to modernize them. This is to avert damage to their self-esteem. They may lack confidence because of their seemingly strange lifestyles, putting the 21st century in perspective. But be gentle when handling this issue because it's delicate. Nicholas Isaac Soporici is saying, good observation. Please use the strength of the woman behind when he's not around to teach the kids the right thing and also expose him to books or programs that teaches gender equality. Austin Patrick is saying, if you saw this man this way and you thought he would change, then that's the problem. Your husband can never change. It takes unlearning these things personally to break free. Now, I believe if you get your daughter under your wings, she will learn to break free from the gender stereotypes and limitations and whatnot. But for your son, that will be very hard because this whole setting is already weird because your husband in this marriage setting has the upper hand and his word is final and your son is watching him very closely. Whatever men do, a lot of times the boys copy it. Your husband will breed a boy who would never respect women and a man who would ride on male privileges. Also, your son will feel he's the best gift to women. You've married him. If you're ready to fight, I will tell you it will not be easy because of your boy. Teaching boys to unlearn this rubbish while someone is telling them that's the right way is one of the hardest things to do. I hope and pray you come out triumphant. Thank you very much. It's not easy in any way to be a parent, generally. It's not easy to be a parent. So when you're looking at it from that perspective, you understand that inculcating knowledge, being responsible for lives, it's not an easy task. But when two parents are not in the same, space about how they want to raise their child, then it's not going to be very easy. It's not going to be easy at all. Parents always like to put up a united front before their children. They can disagree in private, but before the children, they like to put up a united front so that the children can know that, okay, this is what daddy and mommy are saying. This is what they're both saying right now. But now that it's her husband who's teaching her son the wrong thing, the right thing to him, but obviously the wrong thing, what is she supposed to do at this point? What is she supposed to do at this point? I still have a few minutes left before the rounding off of the show, so I will still take your comments. 07000 917 917. 07000 917 917 is the number to call. What do you think concerning this? What do you think concerning Florence's story? What do you think she should do to help this situation? 07000 917 917. To a large extent, it's not going to be easy. But this is something that Florence and her husband should be able to work through. This is something they both should be able to work through. It's not going to be easy, but thanks to you all and your advice tonight, I'm hoping that Florence has been able to take one or two things home that she can incorporate into her marriage, and hopefully it works out. I'm sure that Florence will be able to take an informed decision. And on behalf of Florence, I say thank you again. And I hope you join me same time tomorrow, 6 to 8 p.m. Same station, Women Radio 91.7. Same program, Adult Conversation. Thank you very much to the engineers on duty. My name is Sumto Titilayo Ajama. Good evening.
For wholesome music, heat up your day. Stay tuned to WFM 91.7.
If I say I love you, my girl, don't be lying. We go sip my turn aside from tonight. Kalamazoo to the left, Maradona to the left, Angola to the left. No good put for my head, just please, please don't leave. I gotta be. Oh baby, please, please don't leave. I gotta be. She don't see better person, I me be better person. She don't learn a lesson. She dey see me like blessing. Come on, get me on tire. Body be like fire, and you are desire. My sugar be full naya. Back to the roots, bad man step out and bad man cute. See big ups and low to the youth. And my suit look just like a bacha, looks like a bacha. I don't think complain, cause I guess what we don't think complain. Sankele, that's all your girl think. My friends are oh, just so please don't leave. I gotta be. Oh baby, please don't leave. I gotta be. Get away, come take it away. Let's talk with this once again. In essence, I said, I've been a good man, but look today. Still the bad, not the lad. When we enter, this is the crowd. We outside, we looking nice. So up another buzz like shout. Get lit, don't be shy.
From the wholesome music, heat up your day. Stay tuned to WFM 91.7.
eyes. You're a blessing in disguise. You make me wanna do the ring around the roses. And I love the way you smile. Wanna give it to you nice. And everybody wants to hold your hand. You give me the soft feeling in my heart. When I'm with you, you give me the soft feeling in my heart. When I see you, you give me the soft feeling in my heart. When I'm with you, Shine it to me, titi la la la. It was shining to me, show me la. It was shining to me, titi la la. Broadcasting affects your life in so many ways. If you are offended by anything broadcast on this station, it is your right to complain to the station or call the National Broadcasting Commission (NBC) on 0803 349 7901 or send an email to complaints@nbc.gov.ng. You can also comment or report programs through our website www.nbc.gov.ng. NBC, your right to quality broadcasting. See Africa. Arise, oh, compatriots, Nigeria's crown, obey to serve our fatherland with love and strength and faith. Oh, the lane of our heroes past shall never be in vain. To serve with heart and might, one nation bound in freedom, peace and unity. Nigeria, Nigeria.